Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of Everything You Need to Know. I know you guys love this series. And listen, we don't muck about with this series. We don't just drop it anytime. We bring on the best of the best to talk. And Marco for IFTV is here. And I'm really, really looking forward to having you on because, listen, we're after some key targets in Serie A. As we have been all window, Delit, and now Koulibaly, and there's been others as well. First of all, though, welcome to the channel. First time on. And I seen you through Alex, who we had on as a Juve fan. The comments absolutely loved him. I know they're going to love you too. How are you doing, first of all?
Oh, my man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on. I know it's a long time in the making. Not great timing for me since I'm a big Serie A fan and you're still in one of my favorite players. But as I continue to keep saying, Koulibaly for me is one of the guys that I love so much. Chelsea was always the team because of the Italian history. The amount of Italians that have been successful at Chelsea was always the team I favored in England. So listen, I'm happy for the guy and I hope you win some trophies with him.
I love that. Vialli, Zola. Yeah, there's definitely some, obviously now Jorginho. Di Matteo. There's some Italian pedigree. We've always loved. Just a smidge, do you know what I mean?
We get along. That's it.
Exactly. And the suits, the way you guys dress, this is what we want. Conte, do you know what I mean? Sarri, we've had a lot. So yeah, it's quality.
Sarri with the dressing is not the best. He had problems at Juventus where he wouldn't wear a suit.
Yeah, he got criticized a bit for that at Chelsea. Why doesn't he wear a suit? And then Lampard came in, wear a tracksuit, and everybody was fine about it. So.
Exactly. Hey, it's Lampard. Come on.
Exactly. Let's get straight into it. Listen, obviously, Chelsea's newest signing, Koulibaly, it will be announced or already, a club official post by the time this comes out. I'm sure expecting it today. Obviously, flies to LA to train with the rest of the team for pre-season along with Raheem Sterling. Listen, Koulibaly, we've known about him for a long time, always kind of linked with those moves to another club for the last couple of years, always known as one of the top centre-backs in the world. But there's a lot of loyalty in Italian football that I've always liked, where clubs and players, they do tend to stick with one player sometimes, and they just don't move clubs. I remember with Totti, you've got quite a few Roma legends, De Rossi, and everyone's always talking about, oh, would he go to Real Madrid? Would he go here? Would he go there? Del Piero, they do tend to stick around. Koulibaly, of course, now is going to be coming to Chelsea from Napoli, a club that he's been out for a very long time. What did you make of him last season? Obviously, over the course of his career, he's always been known as a top centre-back, but last season specifically, in that back four, playing in the left side of that, and then transitioning to a Chelsea team in the back three, how do you rate his performance last year? I guess on the spectrum of centre backs, when you've got Bremer and you've got all these other centre backs have had great seasons, and then how would you translate that across to us? How would that work?
Yeah, so for Napoli, they had an interesting season last year. When they were coming in, the expectation was just get top four because they had missed out on Champions League. They started off doing amazing. They were unbelievable. Them and Milan were flying super high, and until I think maybe March, they were in the race to win the Scudetto, the Serie A, to win the title. And Koulibaly was a huge factor in that. They ended up dipping off. Obviously for me, he was not to blame. They were overachieving in a sense. And for me, Koulibaly last year and all the previous years before that has been one of the best center backs in the world. He's just not as talked about. Simple as that. I mean, he's also coming off of the AFCON, winning African Cup of Nations, which for me is another big reason why he's pushing for a move to go to Chelsea, why it was finally time for him to leave Napoli. And I think it was a mix of things. I'll be honest. It's a mix of what's happening at Napoli now, where they're losing a lot of the key players. Their president, De Laurentiis, for those that don't know, he's not an easy character to.
He's not. He's
not easy at all.
It's not easy to negotiate deals. Cavani over the years, Hamshik. It's not easy, but
he's a wild guy. He's like a classic Southern Italian man that is very difficult to negotiate with. And I think the relationship between him and Koulibaly was deteriorating. And I think the biggest thing is that Koulibaly, of course, he's tried to compete with Napoli at these levels, and I think he's done his job. He's been at the top, but he's not always had the team around him that's allowed him to win trophies. And I think Chelsea, I mean, your reputation and your trophy cabinet goes without mentioning. He will have that ambition and that ability to do that. So last year he was one of the best, and I still see him on the rise.
Yeah, and obviously with him, like you say, with that trophy cabinet, it's now getting to that last part of his career with this 4-year deal, option of a further one until 2027. top time to get trophies in the cabinet and really, I guess, bolster, what your career deserves in that respect. And it is a shame that he couldn't do that with Napoli. You've definitely had some good teams at Napoli. I remember the Higuain, before he went to Juve, just absolutely smashing it. Cavani,
Sarri's Napoli.
Yeah, Sarri's Napoli was playing some beautiful football.
Close.
Yeah, they played some brilliant football. Jorginho obviously is the regista, etc. And he's been a part of quite a few sides. So I guess translating to Chelsea's team, we play a back three. There is reports, from different sources in the UK that we could transition to a 4. And I guess Koulibaly does help us do that because he's played in the 4 last season. I think he could play on the left of a 4 like he has been at Napoli with ease. And also on the right, I've seen in a few of the games for Senegal, I think with the AFCON, he did play on the right. Do you think, because this was a question raised, or do you feel like it's a little bit of rivals fishing, Liverpool, Arsenal,
we know how that goes.
Fishing, digging for something? Do you think Koulibaly's fine to play on the right-hand side? Of course, he's right-footed. The angles defensively do change. But for me, when you're a top centre-back like Van Dijk, this ilk, you could play both sides. You don't see any worries about him having to play right side if he has to?
Well said. I totally agree with that. And I know this question always comes up. Mm-hmm. And there's so many examples of players that struggled in a back three, maybe for a little while, but the great ones, the ones who were at this top level, the ones who are actually great players, they always know how to adapt, especially when you have really good players by your side, like Thiago Silva, who will surely help Koulibaly in that sense. So, I mean, for me, I don't see this as a concern at all. I mean, whether they play a back 4, whether they play a back 3, Koulibaly is a top defender, and those kind of guys know how to adapt. They know how to fix their game. And at the end of the day, it doesn't change that much. I know, like, even as fans, like, this happens all the time, even in Italy. Everyone's like, all right, change this formation. Everything is going to change, where it's more about how it's how do you take the pitch? How do you see the game as a whole? And how do you perform in that level, which really is what matters. And Koulibaly, no matter when he's played on the right or when he's played on the left, he's always performed, in my opinion.
Yeah. And for me, I think with his versatility to play all across that back 3, that obviously gives Chelsea that extra bit of cover, but the leadership as well, because Thiago Silva will probably go after this full season. He'll be turning 38. You'd expect maybe that he 38. Would. Yeah, it's incredible. It's unbelievable. Wild. The fitness levels. And it's funny because he's one of our best players. It's not like as if, 37, 38, you're having to be looked after, chaperoned a little bit physically. The guy is... The only time I worry is when he extends his leg out for a tackle or for a block, and then you can see maybe that hamstring might flare up. But he's honestly been incredible leadership wise, and I want to get to know, I guess, Koulibaly on a personal level. If you've ever interviewed him, or personally a little bit more than obviously just a fan of like myself from England. What personally is this player like in terms of leadership, bringing into the dressing room, the attributes? Is he a commander? Is he gonna take young defenders by his side and improve them in that respect? And I guess what kind of personality and character are we getting at Chelsea, which is important for us, because obviously with Lukaku going to Inter Milan, we struggled with that this season, leadership in certain areas.
So this is my favorite part about Koulibaly. This is the reason why rival fans, why anyone who supports a team that's other than Napoli falls in love with Koulibaly. It's because it's the guy off the pitch. I mean, he is simply like a role model for any kids that are watching the game. The way that he has no ego, there's nothing about him that says, it's my name, it's Koulibaly over the team's name. He's constantly put his teammates and the club and the city that he represents before himself. And I think that's why he fell so deep in love with the fans in Italy. It's because he realized what Napoli meant, what the team Napoli meant to the city of Naples. And that's what he brings. He's a silent leader. He's not always the guy that will be the most vocal on the pitch, but he leads by example in that sense. He's always the one who puts his head down first and will get to work and will get the guys around him to be better than what they are, and never complaining. Not the guy that throws his hands up. Oh, all right, these guys around me are no good. That's why we loved Koulibaly, and that's why he was my favorite player since he joined in 2014, since he came to Serie A. That he embraces and falls in love with the place. He refers to himself even as Napolitan because he's been there for so long, because his kids were born there. He falls in love with the place that he is. And for me, that's such an important aspect. Like, you have to be happy and you have to feel good at a club. And I think if Chelsea can provide that, if the fans are warm, if they're embracing, he will be that guy that you absolutely become obsessed with, because he's just that character, and he's everything that I love about a footballer. He goes straight to your heart, and I think he'll be massive for especially the young players, but also the older ones, to not have this ego about like, yeah, I'm coming into a squad, I'm one of the world's best defenders, because naturally he is.
Yeah.
He will be humble enough to get into a system and be like, if I have to reinvent myself or learn something different, he'll do it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's needed, really, because it's now about building a team for Chelsea. We don't have any, superstars, I guess, in our team, or any people that we're trying to carry. It's more of a team, team ethic, and trying to put that together to make this team stronger and actually compete on all fronts, which we've been struggling to do. We haven't really competed for the Premier League for a while. I don't expect us to do it next season, but for sure, I think with Koulibaly leading that defense over the next few years with those younger defenders around him, he takes the mantle from a Silva. In that respect, you've got Trevor, you've got Levi Colwill, you've got potentially Koundé, Kimpembe a bit older, but still you have defenders there that you have to kind of lead and show that personality to. So and hopefully it trickles down to them, and they obviously learn from that. I remember we had Terry to, I guess, Desai. That was a good example of personality kind of trickling over one to the other. When Koulibaly was playing on that left-hand side for Napoli this season, obviously as a right-footed defender predominantly, you've got to use your left foot maybe more than you're used to. What would you say his ball-playing ability is like with his left foot? Is he comfortable switching the play of his left foot, carrying the ball with his left foot? Or would you say he always maybe shifts to his right and kind of sees the game from that viewpoint?
Nah, I think he's really good with both feet. I even saw like a viral tweet that was like, it was said in quotes, it's like Koulibaly has no left foot, and then it was a training video of him banging it into the top left corner. I don't know if you saw this video.
Yeah, I've seen this. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Unbelievable finish.
I've never, I'll be completely honest with you, I didn't even realize if he was right or left-footed for like a little bit. I had to like double check. I was pretty sure he was right-footed, but I was like, I've seen him use his left before. So he's really good on the ball. I've never noticed it as a problem. It's never even been a concern that came up. The only reason why I've seen it is just like recently people have been saying the left-footed thing, and I saw it come up as a joke or as a meme, but no, not something that I would ever be concerned about.
Yeah, and of course he's known for his leadership and the strength and the pace as well, which I want to get onto. In terms of the ball playing ability, just how good is he at passing? Because I think Thiago Silva has come into our team and taken the passing to another level. I remember when David Luiz was here, one of his brilliant strengths, especially playing that middle of a back three, you've got to be able to switch to play, break the lines if need be. David Luiz was an incredible passer for us. He was able to switch play with both feet, pass it in between the lines with pace. Is Koulibaly on that level of ball playing ability where he could almost be like in a way, a creator on the ball in possession? Because you're going to get time when you're in that three at the back. Sometimes you're going to get time to pick up your head and play that pass. Is he able to play that pass over the top and break those lines?
So I would say that, I'll give the example of like Bonucci at Juventus, right? Or for Italy. He loves to send long balls. He's really good with his feet. And he could even play as a midfielder if he really wanted to, just because his ability is that good. But I feel like for Koulibaly, while he's really comfortable on the ball, you'll definitely see him making runs forward when need be, especially with Sarri's team who allowed him to go up. He loved naturally to just progress with the ball. I mean, he switches the field a lot. It's not an excessive amount, but I think that it's also adapted to the team. Napoli have had some incredible center midfielders for a long time. They have such a great scouting system for midfielders that I think he's also just smart enough to know when he needs to leave the ball off and let them do that job. So I would say it's more like that. If need be, I think he has that ability, but it's not something that really stood out to me on like, oh yeah, he was an incredible passer, like I would have said for Bonucci, for example. But again, I think the team dynamics, the teammates around him, the players that he had definitely helped dictate that. And also the coaching style, because like I said, when he had Sarri, he was a little bit more of that type of player. But with Spalletti, who's a little bit more defensive minded, I didn't see it as much.
Yeah, I'm interested to see this because we do suffer from a creativity issue, which I hope that we're trying to amend and fix for. Thiago Silva has been a brilliant passer. So when he is rested, it'll be interesting to see Koulibaly take that mantle. And like I said, if he's playing in the middle of the back three, it's something that you come to expect when you've got more time on the ball. When you sacrifice a midfielder, you obviously want your defenders to do that a little bit more from an attacking point of view as well. Being at 31, there is, again, those alarm bells for people. How could you give him a 4-year contract? How could you give him such a long contract at 31? Chelsea's old policy was a 1-year deal for players over 30. He's still quick. Just how quick is he? And also, as he ages and loses that quickness, as you'd expect with any defender, how do you see his adaptation with the assets and the attributes that he has? Is he able to, I guess, handle losing that pace and make up for it in other areas with the rest of his game? Because sometimes you see defenders lose that pace and they just drop off massively, and they have to go down the league in terms of the stature of the team they're playing for, because they are not used to defending without the pace that they have. They use their pace to their advantage, of course, as you would, but then it means that they lack in other areas that a player that never had any pace would have had to have under their belt completely.
That's such a good point. No, for real. It's true. That can happen. And I would say that doesn't really apply to Koulibaly in the way that I see the game and the way that I see his skill set, because he uses his pace because that's what he has right now. And he's very good on the one-on-ones because he could keep up with some of the really fast players. You know, he is a fast center back, but kind of like Thiago Silva or Chiellini, who deep into their age, you know, maybe they used speed in the beginning of their career because that's what they had, but they're such intelligent and smart defenders, and they have these other qualities, which is reading the game, knowing where the ball is going to be before it really gets there. They're able to adapt their game and at times become even better than when they had this speed, because they know that they have to make up for it in different ways. I see Koulibaly going down that path. Again, I know he's 31. I know when I saw this, I was like, all right, there's got to be like rival fans or Man United fans like writing in and joking around about that, because, I mean, the guy is sick. At 31, I still think that he is an incredible player, and you don't realize he's at that age. And I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict, but he seems like one of those players that if I was betting that, yes, down the line, he is going to still be like so great at 34, 35 years old.
And that's what we want to hear, because of course there's no resale value, but I think sometimes people get hung up on that too much. I think when you pay 34 million pounds, 40 million euros for a player of this quality, you don't need resale value. You just need a good 3-4 years out of them. They'll teach the defenders around them as well, which is very important. It maybe makes your defenders better in the future, like your young defenders. And obviously to pick up the silverware, that's what it's about. It's about winning.
So funny. You guys in England are hilarious. For you guys, 40 million is like an easy transfer. For us in Italy, when we spend 40 million, we're like, yo, this guy better be amazing. He's got to step in right now. He's going to sell for more in the future. That's what I love about England, man. You guys are the transfer market a while.
Oh, listen, we've spent 100 million and it's only been a season-long loan. Basically, it's been a season-long loan. For
Lukaku,
bro. That's what I call it. I call it 100 million season-long loan. If you've got any connection with Inter Milan, I would love to set up a meeting, because I don't know how they've hustled this money from us. I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's something going on there. It's something that needs investigating, because
that made no sense. That literally made no. I've never seen. I mean, kind of like Pogba, but even worse with Lukaku, because it happened all in like one season.
Yeah,
but
100%.
that was. I've never seen anything like that. And honestly, wasn't that unexpected? I'll be honest with you.
Really? Oh God, that makes me even more bad. God, Lord.
Yeah. With Lukaku, he was such like a system player in Italy. It was pretty obvious that he was doing good because he had Antonio Conte by his side, who literally made him at the center of the play. And you go to Chelsea, where everyone wants the ball, it's not the same Lukaku.
My pain, the pain.
So wait.
And the quotes keep coming out, by the way. Oh, I missed Milan.
All this stuff. Okay, we were talking about, I don't know if we said it on camera or when we were talking before, but we were saying how, you know, you guys as Chelsea fans, I love how much you guys love the players that leave. We mentioned Tammy Abraham. Yeah. So with Lukaku, what is it? Do you want him to do really good at Inter, or do you want him to do bad?
I want him to do really, really good. So he is purchased. And we never have to see him again.
Okay. But once he's purchased, do you still want him to do well, or do you want him to?
No. Then he can do awful. Once he's off our books.
That's great.
Contractually off our books, he can do dreadful. Like, we do love Giroud, we love Tomori, we love loads of our former players. But with him, it's a completely different ball game. Do you know what I mean? Tammy Abraham, you know, a player that you've met, and I saw the interview you did with him. Brilliant. We love him, but Lukaku, the way that he's treated our football club, it's just disrespectful. Do you know what I mean? When you make him your highest paid player, you invest all that money, it's crazy. I don't even want to go on a rant.
I respect you. I respect you for admitting it.
Yeah.
You didn't just lie to me.
No, we're not gonna.
We gotta trust now.
No, we're not gonna be. I'm not gonna be quote unquote professional about this. No.
Yeah. I love it.
No, not a chance.
I will be mad too.
If you see my pinned tweet is literally me on Sky just going in on him. Like,
oh yeah. All right, we'll play it.
And I'm not moving it. Do you know what I mean? I've left it there, so anybody that comes across my account, they know what I'm about. Like, I'm not playing games. But back to Koulibaly, a player that I do love. Do you know what I mean? What is there any weakness here? Because obviously with a player like this, top level player, there's always people dig, and I'm digging, right? I'm just trying to gather the insight on the player and see, is there anything that we should be looking out for? Anything that a defensive partner would need to be really good at to help Koulibaly in a back four that helps him in his game, or is he just completely flawless?
Yeah. So I feel bad because I've been asked now like a couple times, like, this is literally like one of my favorite players over the past couple of years that like, and I'm critical. I'm like you. I am critical over a lot of players, but we're choosing the one that I actually think is just like unbelievable and that I would sign to any team immediately. But I'll give one concern, because now that I've hyped him up so much, maybe the one thing is that I really think Koulibaly did great, because off the field, he was so happy and content. And the fans made him feel like he was $1 billion. Like, they made him feel like he was the entire world. So my only pushback could be that he needs to adapt well in London. Like, he needs to adapt well to the city and to the fans. Like, I don't know how you guys are, but, you know, obviously I follow Chelsea a lot.
I think he's going to get a lot of love. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I think he will.
You know, there are certain teams that you go there, and if you do like one or two bad performances, or you don't go up to this crazy level right away, the fans are like, they're booing you, they don't want you anymore, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's the only way that he could adapt. And still then I could see an argument to say, like, he's mentally been strong enough and he's been through a lot of tough times with Napoli that he could bounce back on that. So that's the one pushback that I would give on him. It's just like the human level. I think he values that a lot. And I think that human level will be an important factor that, again, you know, you're not going to see on the stats. You're not going to go find it on transfer market, like not a good left foot. But it's one aspect that I think matters to Koulibaly and to his game.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Edouard Mendy, his international teammate, is also in this Chelsea team and settled and happy, it would seem, I think that helps a lot, because now you've almost got like a best friend going in immediately. And then obviously you go from there in terms of establishing the rest of your friendships in the rest of the team. So I think Mendy being here is really, really important. Jorginho is here as well, who he would have played with at Napoli under Sarri. So that's another connection. And yeah, hopefully many more to come. So I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue for him, because I think in terms of the player, he's going to command respect from, you know, Chelsea fans are excited as hell to have him. You know, this was kind of our first choice target. We were linked with De Ligt, but I think in terms of De Ligt, obviously the price went up, the wages is very high. Koulibaly, of course, is going to get great wages, but Koulibaly is definitely a player where we all just there's Chelsea fans disagree on almost every single topic apart from Reece James. But when it comes to Koulibaly, there was no disagreement. Everybody wants him. Everybody rates him. Everybody can't wait to have him. And that is rare in the Chelsea community. Like, it really is. Honestly, it does not happen very often. So
would you have preferred De Ligt?
I would have preferred Koulibaly personally, only slightly because of the fact that I feel like he's more of a guarantee to adapt to the Premier League than De Ligt. Obviously, De Ligt's younger. Koulibaly's faster. I just feel like with what we need in our defense, we need more experience. And De Ligt is obviously a leader as well, so I would have been excited about him. But De Ligt with Nathan Ake was obviously a nationality, maybe a duo. But now that we're not getting Ake, earlier today it was confirmed that he would stay at City. I'm now looking at the connection between Koulibaly and Mendy, and I'm thinking that's even better. Do you know what I mean? And then we can have him lead our defense after Silva goes. That was always my main thing with this defense, is that I want there to be a recognized leader to take the mantle after Thiago Silva goes, because otherwise it's just imbalanced. And De Ligt would have been a leader, but he's still young. I think, you know, Koulibaly, he's a leader, he's experienced. So I'm excited about it for sure. So we've spoken about Koulibaly a lot. We've spoken about, we tried to give some balance, but we're both excited. It's understandable. He's a great player. Let's talk about Rafael Leao from AC Milan.
Why do we got to talk about Leao? Leao's not going nowhere.
Listen, I'm sorry. It's the job. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I've seen links. I've seen that he is a target. I don't personally believe that it will happen because the price tag is so high. but it seems like AC Milan would negotiate around the 80 million mark, maybe. I know as a Serie A analyst, CBS guys, make sure you follow. We're gonna be doing a lot of plugging at the end because this guy is highly, highly skilled and talented. This ain't no joke. Do you know what I mean?
I gotta pay you for that. Thank you.
When it comes to this player, exciting, won a Serie A title. I personally don't see why AC Milan would weaken their team also when they're chasing another Serie A. The Serie A race for the title next season is looking incredible as it was this season. Honestly, it's I love the way the Milan clubs are back. This is what we needed for competition, because Juventus were like Mercedes to Hamilton, winning. And I was like, come on, man, this is getting too easy. Now we're getting the resurgence of the Milan teams. For the younger viewers, you maybe won't remember the legendary Milan teams. I'm talking about, Maldini. I'm talking about Gattuso, Seedorf, Kaká, Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic at Inter. All these guys, Zanetti, just ridiculous Champions League winning team with Schneider. So it's great to see them on the come up. When it comes to Rafael Leao, let's talk about the player, not even the transfer. Just how good is he? Because this is the first year I've heard about him, to be honest.
So he's one of those players that has one of, if not the highest ceiling in Serie A. Simply put, he is one of those guys that you said it well. I mean, Leao, we've known Leao for a couple of years now in Italy, and he's always missed that little bit. You could see the talent, but he missed the killer touch. He missed sometimes the finishing. He would, sometimes overdo it. This year, he completely refined all of that, and he became such an unbelievable player who, on the one-on-ones, he is, I keep saying, he's that type of player that when you watch him, you want to go out and play football. Like, for me, when I would watch Ronaldinho play as a kid, I mean, he also plays with a smile on his face when he's dribbling the ball, just like Ronaldinho. But he's one of those players that makes the ball feel alive, that you want to go in your backyard and you want to kick the ball around because he's so talented. At any moment he gets the ball, he could dribble past his man. He could create magic. He creates something out of nothing. And he loves to service his teammates as well. He's gotten a lot of assists also because of how good he is at being unselfish at times. I mean, he's one of those players, like I put him along with Vlahovic from Juventus as the two best players in Serie A. The two players that this is how I think about it. If they're playing a small team, right? I remember when Fiorentina was playing Empoli at like 6:30 in the morning over here in New York, because that would be the first game. I would have to watch Fiorentina play with Vlahovic because at any moment I knew this guy could create something out of nothing. Leao has that same type of feeling when I watch him, and there's few players, this. There's two players in the world that when you watch them, you're like, what is going to happen next? Like they give you that impulse. So Leao is one of those guys, and I really do not want to see him leave Serie A and leave Milan because from a selfish perspective, I want to watch him every single week because this year he was amazing, but I just keep thinking like, what is he going to become next year? And I'm sorry, but it's not going to be at Chelsea.
Listen, that in there. We're in the market for another attacker. Gnabry today was confirmed that he's going to be signing on an extension at Bayern Munich. Leroy Sané is another player at Bayern Munich that's been linked with moves away.
You want Moise Kean? I could give you.
No.
Thank you. He's very good.
Thank you.
I think even better than Vlahovic and Leao.
I actually remember watching Moise Kean in the Premier League, so you can't even swindle me with this one. I remember trying to negotiate with Alex when he was on about this Jorginho de Ligt transfer, and he was saying no Jorginho, and then I remember watching you guys' video as well, and he's saying in the caption that you guys disagree a lot on literally everything. It's always great debates. So I'm not going to get into the negotiation tactics because I know. Do you know what I will say about Italian clubs as well? Their negotiation skills are ridiculous. They always charge so much for their players, and then when it comes to taking players elsewhere, it's like loan deals, 2 years. It's
bro. There's a Premier League tax. I'm gonna be honest. We have a Premier League tax. Like we see Premier League team coming up, that's an extra like 10-15 million. Easy.
This is what I'm saying. It's ridiculous.
I wasn't supposed to tell you, but whatever. We're building that trust, so
100%. Secret. We'll keep this between me and
no one else will find out.
Whatever 1,000 people it is. So with Leao, I guess I'd have to ask, dribbling wise, I've seen the statistics. This guy, like you said, 1v1 is just ridiculous. He skins players. He's so good at going past players. What's his finishing like? Because of course now we know in modern era wingers tend to have to get those goals from the wide areas. I do miss the days of just pure and utter creativity and not having to worry about GA, but it's GA, that's the era we're in. How is his finishing? Is that coming along? Would you say that's improving? Is it really, really good? Is it reliable? I say, if he was to come into any attack, or even, you know, at AC Milan next season, how many goals do you think you can say, you know, with this guy, you can depend on him to get?
Yeah, as I was mentioning before, his finishing was not good in the past. Like it really wasn't. This year is where it started to improve. And I think that it still can get better. It still can get like a lot better, because if he does that, then he just becomes like one of, if he improves his scoring even more than this year, I think he becomes one of like the top in the world in terms of youngsters. Like it's still like, again, as I'm saying, like the progression has been like the most impressive thing. And that's where everyone's like, my gosh, he went from a different level, like a different talent. And I think also like his professionalism in general, like the big thing that Zlatan Ibrahimovic said when he joined Milan is that he would go to training and he didn't see everyone fighting for the team. He didn't see people dying in training. And he was like, where's the understanding of what Milan is? Yeah. And that's what started to change. And that's what he also brought to the team, where, you know, Brahim Diaz said, like, Zlatan would smack us around if we say the wrong thing, or if we do the wrong thing, like he'll give us a slap in the back. And when you have that sort of person behind you, it definitely helps. And I think whether it was Zlatan, whether it was just maturing, whether it was Milan also just improving, because Milan went from really poor times to now winning the league, which was an incredible feat. Leao has shown that he is improving and he's on an upward trajectory. And that's what we're most excited about.
Yeah, and with the player you mentioned before, with the assists, the decision making is at a high level. It sounds like not greedy, wanting to set up teammates, picking the right pass, which is so important in the attacking areas as well. Is there any weakness? I know we spoke about finishing, continue to progress. Anything else in his game where you would say that's an area where you really, really now need to improve on in the coming season to go to that next level? Because of course he's already becoming a star. He's won the Serie A, which is historic for AC Milan after going so long without one. To now go to that next level of like one of the best in the attacking areas of world football, is there any weaknesses that you say that he needs to look at, or anything that even clubs would maybe be jumping the gun too soon to go and get him for this price tag, and say maybe, you know, stay at AC Milan for an extra year and improve those things before we come in for you?
So with all respect to Milan, who won the league, and deservedly so, they won because their team as a whole was the most united and they were the most complete, right? They all fought for each other. But when you look at their team, and I think Milan fans will agree with this, or anyone who watched Serie A, the guys that played next to him in the attacking phase, right? They played a 4-2-3-1. The ones in the three where Leao was, you know, Brahim Diaz, Krunic, Salamakers, Castillejo, players that were not good. We're not talented enough, who were not, they didn't do enough. So it was pretty incredible that Milan were even able to win. I think at times, and again, that's why I give this caveat, he would try to do a lot. He would try to do too much. And part of that could be because, you know, number one, defenders were doubling up on him. Maybe, you know, the teammates around him, there was not enough like other star power that could help him in a sense of dragging players away. But he was getting away with it a lot in the last year. Previously, you know, because he loves to dribble his man. He loves to go for it. He has that courage. So maybe that's one thing if we get rid of the finishing, since we already said that. But besides that, I mean, the guy is good at almost everything. I mean, he's you know, he's a tall player. He's great with the ball. He's skillful. He loves to get in. You know, he's able to change a game on a dime, which is another factor that's so important. You know, there's some players who are really good, right? Really good players over a period of time. But if they're not having a good day, or if the team is not playing good, or if things are not going their way in the beginning of a match, they could kind of go down a negative cycle. He is that player that, like, if his team is down, he is able, with a moment of brilliance, to change the entire game around. He unlocks the defense. He can do that because he's so skillful. And again, that was one of the key parts to why Milan were able to win, because in those moments when the team wasn't always playing great, he would pull through. He would be the guy, whether it was getting a goal, getting assist, or even just setting up his teammates in general. That's what he did best. Yeah,
and that's an area where Chelsea really struggle with, is that obviously Sterling helps that in a way, is that we almost always had to play the perfect pass, always had to find the perfect move as a team, because we had no one that could really go past players, unlock the door, show a little bit of individual brilliance. So it's a very important asset to
Don't
have.
get any ideas. I just realized that I just did a great sales pitch for Leao. My bad. Never mind. Leao is not good. He's terrible. He can't finish. The guy does too much. You don't want to, trust me.
There was a meeting between Todd Bowie and George Mendes. I believe it's the same agent. Hopefully there was, some discussions about what kind of price Milan are looking at. Of course, listen, we have a good relationship with AC Milan. Tomori, Giroud, I'm sure, we can start to see a little bit come back this way in terms of, we help you, you help us. No. Tomori was given to AC Milan for a very nice price. And I think he ended up benching the captain, didn't he? Who's
Romagnoli.
Is he the former captain now? I think.
Yeah, now he's signed for Lazio.
He's on his way to Lazio.
But yeah, he was at the top. Tomori was incredible
for a wonderful fee, So I think
I can give you other players. You want Brahim Diaz? We can make a good
deal. The way you spoke about Rafael Leao has convinced me. Well, listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up. It's been a great show, as I knew it would be. I was really looking forward to getting Marco on. Listen, he's killing it, man. If you guys remember the Tammy Abraham interview, it was great. It was great banter between the pair of them. But also, he works for CBS. Do you know what I mean? A serial analyst there, and also IFTV. What a platform you've built, bro. It's huge. So credit to you, and let them know where to find you. Pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Very kind words. And yeah, IFTV is something that we've been building. I always say I know a lot of your fans are Premier League fans, and for me, as much as I love Serie A because that's the league that I grew up on, have to admit that Premier League is at the top. It's at a great level. But even as you mentioned, there's something in Serie A. There's fun, there's a drama. Maybe it's not going to be your first league, but listen, if you're interested in Serie A and you're trying to get along with it, follow Italian Football TV. I think we try to help make the game a little bit more interesting and easy to understand because there's a lot of little nuances in Italy that are hard to describe and hard to understand. But this year is going to be a fantastic season with Juventus, Inter, Milan that look like they're going to be on a crazy level. So it should be fun. And if you want to come along with that journey, yeah, you can follow IFTV. So I appreciate you having me on, by the way, first of all. Appreciate you letting me give this little shout out. I had an incredible time. I love speaking about Chelsea. Hopefully I'm not back for a video talking about my house in Chelsea though. That's what I'm saying right now. I'm not going to come on.
I'm thinking, if Jorginho goes to Juventus, because I know Alex didn't want that to happen in the last video, that would be hilarious. I'm definitely, and then if we get Rafael Leao, maybe both of you together, do you know what I mean? That would be hilarious. I think that's exactly what's needed. And listen, guys, make sure you go subscribe to IFTV. The link is in the title and in the description. Make sure you follow Marco on all platforms. He's doing great work with CBS. Living the dream, honestly, really, for people like me that do YouTube. I've done a little bit of stuff in the media, but this is the reporting, the journalism. This is what you want to see. And he's bringing a fresh vibe. He's charismatic. He's not boring with the players. Actually entertaining. Do you know what I mean? This is what we want. The new dawn, the new day of journalism. So much appreciated for coming on, guys. Make sure you subscribe. And like I said, there's no reason for you not to be keeping up with Serie A because the title race is going to be intense. You got players that are former Chelsea players out there. The AC Milan boys that we've mentioned, Tammy Abraham as well. Could be some others, who knows? So keep up with Serie A, and the best place to do that, of course, IFTV. So big up, and I see you guys next time in a bit, people. Peace. Perfect.